Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're gonna be working on the white MR2. We're finally gonna get around to installing the new water pump. Unfortunately though, we won't get the car up and running today. The reason for that is that I bought a new radiator for this car. This is the original one to the car, I believe. So it's close to 30 years old and I figured it was a good idea to change it out. The radiator that I ended up ordering had some damage when it arrived. So I reached out to the company trying to get a replacement. I don't really know if I'm gonna get one yet. So that's probably a video you guys will see here in the future, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But as of right now, I'm waiting to see what's up with the radiator before I kind of leave the coolant system. So that's why we won't actually drive the car at the end of the video. Another thing I want to note is that the area that we're going to be working in today is actually kind of tight. There's really not a whole lot of space to work there. And I really want to get the best shots that I possibly can. So I normally use an external mic. This time I actually used a different case and I'm not using that mic. So I'm thinking the audio might be a little bit different than usual. Just wanted to give you a heads up on that. Here is the water pump kit that I got. It has, well, everything you need to do the water pump. And of course, I got a good brand. Here's the water pump. We got the new timing belts. One of the reasons why I like getting a good kit is because they come with metal gaskets. I really prefer these metal gaskets over the paper ones just because the metal ones have a less likelihood of failing. The paper ones, from just personal experience, fail a lot sooner than these ones. This kit also comes with new bearings. So pretty much everything here is going to be brand new. We're going to get started by taking off the side panel here, and then we're going to move the cruise control components out of the way. That will give us easy access so that we can take off the accessory belts. The cruise control module is unbolted and put off to the side. I think it might have been a little hard to see some of the things I was pulling off or where I was unscrewing things. So there is a bolt right there, right down there, and then there was one right there. On the other side, there was one here, one way down there, and then one there. Space really is at a premium when you're doing this job, so any little thing helps. It's not really a difficult job. It just sucks because there's not a lot of space. On the other side, this is a non-interference engine, so if you get the timing off, more than likely you're not going to mess anything up. It's not like the Subaru or something like that. It has been a while since I last did the timing belt, but if I recall correctly, for the AC belt, all I have to do is undo this bolt, and then I'll loosen up the idler bearing here. AC belts out. Right now I am working on getting the AC belt off. It's just such a tight space in there that I can't realistically get the camera in there and work. I think the belt's about to come off. No, needs a little bit more. The alternator belt is out. It looks like to be in decent shape. The AC belt definitely needs to be replaced. You could see how cracked it is under there. What's up guys, it's actually the next day, and as you can see, the car's pretty much put back together. What I ended up doing was, well, I'm gonna return the water pump kit and put the car back together. A lot of it just comes down to, I don't feel like doing this job, but there's a little bit more to it than just that. I've had the water pump kit for a few weeks now, and pretty much every time I had a chance to install it, I didn't do it because I didn't feel like doing it. And honestly, I know there's gonna be times in life where we just kind of have to like suck things up and deal with things we don't want to. In this scenario, luckily I had a choice. And the other thing is, I just thought about the fact that like the end result isn't gonna be worth it. And the whole reason I was even doing the water pump kit, the radiator and all that stuff was I'm trying to do all the regular maintenance on the cooling system so I could take this car to the track. I feel like my decision was really based on the fact that I just want to drive, and I was ignoring the obvious fact that this car, last time I was at the track, it overheated really bad. Even though the compression test came back good and everything like that, I feel like it would be a bad decision for me to take it back to the track because how is it possible that I could overheat the car so bad and not do any damage? I feel like if I went back to the track, I would end up overheating the first lap out or the first session out. There's also a second thing. About 3 or 4 years ago, this car actually caught fire. I went to grocery shopping with it. I pulled into the parking spot. At that exact moment, I checked my phone. I happened to have some messages. I responded to the messages that I had, and then when I looked up in my rearview mirror, I saw smoke coming out of the hood. As you can imagine, I freaked out. I popped the hood. I put the fire out. I repaired the wires, and It's been good ever since, or so I thought. At the time, I actually thought I did a good job, but in hindsight, I don't feel like I did. And you're gonna ask, what's the difference between here and now? The biggest difference is just experience. I had to splice a lot of the engine harness, and honestly, I should have just replaced it. In the back of my mind, I've honestly always had this feeling that the electrical system, in particular the wiring harness, because that's the only thing I spliced into, is kind of like a ticking time bomb. And because of those two things, I just don't think it's worth it to take this thing back to the track. And honestly, I've been really lucky that I haven't had another electrical fire. More than anything, I've just had a really big change of heart. So instead of trying to rush this car so I can go get some seat time, I want to do it the right way. My plan now is to actually take my time and do things right. Before we even get to the engine stuff, of course, I want to do the front end bodywork stuff. I really have a way better vision of this car than I did literally just a month and a half ago. I believe I've mentioned it on the channel, but initially my plan with this was like a full-on time attack car with the creature comfort. So I actually had plans to do things like flares and like super extreme aero. I don't want to do that because I'm in a very fortunate position where I can have my cake and eat it too, because I have the V6 MR2. On this car, it's going to be a lot more street, but it's still going to be like motorsports inspired just a little bit. I already have vented front fenders on the way. I should hopefully have those on within the next month. And if anyone was curious, because I'm going with the replacement front fenders, I might change out the wheel setup. I'm not entirely sure yet. I want to get them on and check them out, because what I looked online is MR2 Heaven, the car that they had, they showed a car with those front fenders, and they were running a 235 17x9 in the front. For the hood, I actually want to do a vented front hood. I want to do a stock OEM bumper, and that's pretty much it for the front. And then on the side here, I was thinking of going with the Gretty side skirts, but I'm not sure. I would also be okay with just an open vent. And then in the rear, I'm going to do a wing. I'm thinking that realistically, I should probably have all the front end stuff done in about 6 months. And luckily, the damage that's up there isn't even like the worst thing ever. Once I'm done with that stuff, the second stage would actually be going into the engine swap. In my head, I actually want a 2GR. Like that would be my first choice. The only thing that's been giving me some like hesitation there has to do with the turbo transmissions. They're getting more and more expensive, but it's just the price tag. When I could go get a case swapped, I was actually looking around for like 2,500 bucks. I could buy a wrecked car with a full swap. And you know, both swaps are essentially plug and play these days. After the engine swap stuff, the plan is then to actually deal with the rust and get the car painted. The reason I'm actually putting the paint last is that as I'm working on the car, I'm really afraid of like painting it and then messing it up as I'm doing something. Honestly, this is going to be a lot of work and it's going to take some time, but it's something that really excites me and gets me going. And in the meantime, I'm very fortunate because the V6 MR2 is still running, so I can thrash on that. And then Jesus and I have the WRX together. Thank you for watching, everyone. And of course, stick around because the MR2 is going to go from beater to show car. Although I don't think I like saying show car. I don't ever want a super nice car that I'm afraid to drive. So she's going to go from a beater to very nice example of an MR2. So yeah, thanks again for watching. See you guys in the next video.